I'm Cindy Carrillo, and that was my real story. Just a little intimidating. Thank you for indulging. It was a little choppy, but you know, that goes with my dancing, so it's all okay. It's okay. Before we get into this, that film, just so you know, is the reason that I turned gray. It happened pretty quickly. But the person who really made this all happen for me and really opened up a whole new world for me was that gentleman that you saw on the screen. He's my leader and partner on the dance floor and has become my partner in life. Will you please thank and welcome Matthew Valadez? I gotta tell you, it's not a bad life when you get to, live with a dance instructor. The folks who came down to the ranch, I lived down there, and they came down for about 4 days, and we filmed that. It's Angel Street Films, and they're one of our sponsors as well today. So please thank all of the filmmakers. They're at a table back there from Angel Street. You guys were amazing. You guys are great. Thank you. So the intention for today is about telling our real stories. So as hard as that was for me to sort of come up with that concept, which really came to me years and years ago as I started to dance, that's what we've asked all of our speakers and our panelists to do today, is to really look inside of themselves and pull out those real stories. Because you can go to any conference in your field or your industry and get all the facts and figures that you need about super trends and things about the future. We're talking about very important topics today that we think are very relatable to everybody, and we really wanted this to come from the heart, the gut, and the experiences of our speakers and of our panelists. So that's a lot to ask of them. So I would turn it back on all of you today. I mean, this is a pretty incredible crowd that we've got here. So first, thank you, welcome for coming. Second, please share. Share those real stories. You're going to have lots of opportunities today to talk to one another, to be able to speak in groups, in these panels. This is about you. And so all of us have our own real stories, so can't wait to hear a whole bunch of them today. Well, as the chair of the Wild Summit, I will tell you that, the saying, it takes a village, well, it takes a bunch of wild chairs to put something like this together. And we have had the most incredible group of people to work on this event, and I really would like to acknowledge them today. The first is our chair of our underwriting committee, because let me tell you, if we couldn't get some funding to do this, we couldn't do this at all. Julie Herzog's underwriting committee raised more than $150,000 in direct and in-kind contributions. Awesome. And she did it, that whole group did it by really, I think, getting so much passion and buy-in from our community. 63 companies have contributed to this event in this community. And I'll thank our sponsors. But as you sort of move through the day, you'll see the sponsors on the screen. You've got them in your program. If you see somebody with a sponsor tag or a platinum tag or a gold tag, please thank them, because they're really wonderful human beings and we need them to know it. Our next chair, our next wild chair, is Lindsay Satula. Lindsay is one of the greatest marketing people I know. She has pulled together an amazing committee, and they have taken care of all the branding, the printing, the website. So thank you, Lindsay, and your committee. Julie, thank you. Julie Imig is our program chair for the second year, and let me tell you, she has rocked this program. She had more than 30 moderators, producers. What she did, this is brilliant, is she picked 6 producers to pull together their panels. They then found the speakers and the moderators. We have amazing panelists and moderators today for you, and we really did think through the concept of the program. You know how a lot of times you go to a conference and there's a huge book and there's like 150 different workshops for you, and then you're so torn, you don't know where to go? We have made a very conscious effort to provide you with 6 high quality, really wonderful productions with great panelists today, where you can pick 2, because we have asked these panelists to repeat. And this is not something you'll find in any other conference. So you'll be able to get to 1/3 of the panels today, which I think is a wonderful concept that our program committee has come to. So Julie, thank you and your team for pulling all of this together. And you know, the details of an event like this don't come together easily, and then let me tell you, there are a ton of details. And Carrie Gleeksman and Susan Hudacek have been our logistics chairs. So if you've got any complaints, go to them. The most important thing that these 2 ladies did, for those of you in the audience, they converted the men's room right out here to a women's room. And the men, you don't have to go outside, but you have to go to the other end. And thank you, men, for being here. You are the luckiest, smartest men I know. We also have an incredible PR chair. Terry Douglas is doing this for the 2nd year in a row as well. She is one of our sponsors from Catapult PR. She's amazing. She has gotten a buzz going about this event for 2 years that we really couldn't do without her. So thank you, Terry. Appreciate it. And then finally, one of the really big goals that we had for this year is this is the signature event for the Women's Council through the Leeds School of Business at the University of Colorado. And the Women's Council is all about connecting professional women to students, because we really want to be there through all kinds of avenues to support young people as they are moving up through the ranks and give them the opportunity to learn from our experiences and from our real story. And this year, we were really blessed to have an MBA student sit on the wild chairs with us, and her name is Leslie Smale. You will hear from her later at the lunch program. But I am thrilled to tell you that through her efforts and a number of other student efforts, we have more than 100 students signed up today for the event, which I think is awesome. So speaking of our students, there's a couple of things here. First is, because of the enormous generosity of all the professionals and of our sponsors, we had a fee that we had charged to a number of students. But now that we're at the end game here, all the students in the room, if any of you paid, you will be fully refunded, because we were able to collect enough to be able to cover you all. And again, if your refund doesn't come in like a week, then talk to our logistics chairs. Don't call me. It'll be coming. The other thing is, we've matched a number of the professionals who had sponsored students with students. So in your name tag, some of the students might have the name of a professional, and some of the students, the professionals, you're going to have the name of the student that you were matched with. After the opening remarks and our keynote, our wonderful keynote speaker this morning, you might want to meet at the couches and the chairs outside of this door and kind of meet each other, and then at some point during the day, I'd love for you to all get together. The opportunity to connect is here today. So students, if you see a professional at a table, mingle, talk, be bold, be open. We're here for you. Professionals, most of our students have a student label on their name tag. So we're the grown-ups. Let's go up and introduce ourselves. We want to connect. We want today to be magical for everyone. So part of that magic is going to be from those connections. So I encourage everybody to be open, everybody to be bold. And finally, I want to thank, well, not finally, I've got more. Forget the whole finally thing. Next, I do, before we start the program, want to thank all of our speakers and thank all of our panelists. These folks have worked really, really hard on putting this together. So before you get into the day, let's just give them a round of applause so that they know they're welcome. Thank you all. Also, you received a book, a free book, a wonderful book. You've received a couple of things on your chair. Julie Clough has graciously donated books for everybody. Please take them home and read it, and later on today she'll be out to sign books. We've got a couple of book signings that will be happening later at the end of the day. Also, Jane Miller, our very own Jane Miller from Jane Knows and from Rudy's Bakery, big sponsors of ours, is also writing a book. Unfortunately, her book isn't coming out till May 2nd, but she went ahead and gave you a preview of the book. So where's Jane? Jane. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. So take a look at that. It's got the first 4 chapters. Now, I think I'm finally our amazing community of sponsors. We really are thrilled to have back again as our Big Cat sponsor, Ogilvy and Mather. Thank you so very much for coming back. Our platinum sponsors are Rudy's Bakery, White Wave, and Comcast. Thank you for coming back. And our gold sponsors, new sponsor, Circle Graphics this year, Catapult PR, Fortis Law Partners, who also is Julie's firm, who ran our underwriting committee, JP Morgan Chase, the Sterling Group, and the marketing department. Thank you all. And then the rest of our sponsors are in your program. There are bronze, our silver and our bronze sponsors, and our in-kind sponsors. Again, if you see those tags, go and thank them, because without them, it would be impossible for us to do this. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And now, I'm going to get off the stage here soon. I want to introduce our next speaker here, who is the Dean of the Leeds School of Business at the University of Colorado, who I absolutely adore. And I adore him because he has been such a great supporter of the Women's Council. He's been such a great supporter of the Wild Summit. And I'll tell you, this is a man who does inspire leadership development with all students. And just so you know, he's also been down at the ranch, and he's one heck of a dancer. Yes. So help me welcome Dean David Eikenberry.
So what Cindy shared with you is absolutely false just a moment ago. Nancy and I were at a wedding on last Saturday, and we were on the dance floor, and we were saying, if Matthew and Cindy could see us now, they would be so upset. But it is a pleasure. Isn't Cindy Carilla just a wonderful, inspiring leader? I thank you for who you are and what you do and what your values are and how you affect this part of the country and this part of the world and the people who are gathered here today. I just want to kind of share 2 different thoughts. The first is a message to our visitors here today who may not necessarily be a part of the Women's Council family or perhaps a part of the Leeds School of Business family, but rather the entrepreneurs, the people who are thinking about starting a new business or opening a new pathway, but who aren't necessarily affiliated with our school. I want to just talk to and speak to you directly in this otherwise crowded room. I want you to think about the Leeds School of Business as a partner as you are furthering your venture or starting your venture. It's critical that you network and that you take on this challenge that you're either in the middle of or are contemplating. And I want you to think of the business school and the people in this room as part of your network. And I want to point to 2 different parts of that network. Cindy mentioned a moment ago that there are close to 100 students in the room. If you're a student of the Leeds School of Business, would you push your chair back and stand up for just a minute? To our students, thank you for coming here today. For those entrepreneurs in the room, please look to these students as a potential source of talent, either on a part-time basis or on a full-time basis. And I say that in a very genuine way. We are so committed to the idea of action learning, learning by doing. You know, I happen to be, I come from the old school where sometimes I was accused of coming from the Fidel Castro School of Lecture, where I could lecture for 5 or 6 hours at a time. I'll spare that with you today. But learning by doing has been proven over and over again as one of the most helpful ways of taking ideas into reality. And you entrepreneurs can look to and should look to our students as a source of talent, not only to help yourself, but to help the learning philosophies and the learning growth of our student body. The second group of folks that I'd like to have stand up and be recognized are the faculty and the staff, and also the members of the Women's Council. Those three groups, if you would stand up as well. That includes you too, Cindy. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to figure out, how do I latch into a big university like the University of Colorado? I hope, again, that each of you look to a latch point, whether it's a faculty member, and take down a name and address at some point during the course of the day, and use that as perhaps your avenue as to how to locate a student, or if you wish to get some advice or counsel, or need some linkages from the University of Colorado, please look at those folks to help. Why are we here today? That's my second point. Why are we here today? Why are we here on this planet? You know, what are we trying to do in life? I fundamentally believe that when we have those quiet moments, when we have our quiet time, when we reflect on who we are and what are we trying to do, I think each of us thinks about that question of, how am I changing society? How am I changing the world? You know, what is it about me and my activities today that is going to move society, humankind, the human condition to a different point? I think each of us wants to do that in a positive way. There are many, many ways to do this. Each of us has different gifts. And there are many avenues and many institutions to do that with. I happen to believe that the business enterprise, the corporate form, the partnership model, doing business and engaging in business enterprise is perhaps the most efficient and effective way that we help mankind. And business is sometimes portrayed as bad, but when you do step back, what you find is that business changes so many things. It affects so many families. The products and the innovations that we create touch lives in so many positive ways. I believe that the marketplace and business is one of those institutions, yes, along with government, yes, along with our religious institutions, our not-for-profit institutions. And that's one of the reasons I've devoted my life to being a business educator. Because in my small little way of thinking about how to make the human condition better, it's about training students to enter the workforce to make society a better place through that business vehicle. How does one do that? That happens through the idea of leadership. In other words, it's not so much the business itself that's making the human condition better, it's how we lead our people, how we lead, how we bring products to market. And that is indeed a special thought. And that's what I think about what today is about. Today is about helping us in each of our own little ways engage in solving that leadership problem. And yes, Cindy is right, leadership involves followers, and that was a big part of the message that Cindy shared with us. But you as a leader need to think through, how do I engage my followers to endeavor and move forward in this business enterprise? We've been talking for a long time, for decades and decades, can you teach leadership? And I don't know if you can teach leadership or not, but I think you can help share a framework and a thought process and help each of us in our own little way develop the art of leadership. Cindy has a little passage in that opening paragraph inside the front cover about that leadership has a certain art form to it. It's different for each of us. But leadership at its core was described to me once as actually something quite simple. It had two parts to it. The first part is, where are we going? In other words, where are we at today and where are we going? That's a strategic question. And that is something that we, frankly, at business schools are pretty good about. We're very good at talking about strategic dynamics and all kinds of scenarios. We're incredibly good at putting together all the theoretical pieces of it. But that's only part one. Part two is, if we're at point A and we need to get to point B strategically, the big question is, how do we get there? And the how do we get there part is the people part. That's the leadership part. That's the part of figuring out how do we get an organization which is formed of people to get to that other side. And that's a big part of what today's dialogue is going to be about. And I really enjoy this, I used that word real, I didn't mean to do that, but this real story component, this theme of the real you and is so meaningful. It is how do we get there part from moving from one strategic location to another, but how do we get there, and how do we bring a small or large army of people with us? That's an incredibly human experience and an incredibly real experience, and I'm really glad that that's going to be the focus of your morning and your afternoon. I really encourage all of you to enjoy today, and I really appreciate all of the hard work that has gone into making today happen. And so, again, thank you, Cindy, and thank you to the Women's Council for making this all occur. So I, too, want to exit stage left as promptly as possible. Cindy had mentioned that Ogilvy Mather has just been a wonderful, wonderful partner with us in launching this effort, and it's my pleasure now to introduce Lauren Monroe Trice. She's the Senior Partner and Director for Diversity and Inclusion at that wonderful organization, Ogilvy Mather. Lauren, if you would come forward and continue our introductions for the day.